I'm Toni Guffei, and I'm here with three panelists to talk about what's hot in content marketing. Just as a heads up for our agenda today, each of our panelists will do a 1 minute introduction talking about their company and their core expertise and what they're going to be talking about. And then I'll touch on also FuseBox, which is a collaborative, and how we all work together. And then we'll do about 5 minutes each. I know each of the panelists has done some work around putting together some slides and sharing some information about what's hot. So we've got a copywriter, a videographer, and podcaster with us today. This is going to be great. And then I will lead a question period. I'll start with a couple of questions, but encourage any of you, if you have any questions, to put them in the chat box. Marlena will check in and make sure that and I'll check in too to make sure that I've got your questions once we open up the question period. But I want to give them the opportunity to talk a little bit themselves so you can get some background information about what's happening, and then we'll take questions. So let's go around. We'll start on my left. I have Gillian Williamson. She's a videographer with Studio Lumen. Jillian, tell us a bit about yourself.
Thanks, Toni. So yeah, my name is Jillian. My company is Studio Lumen, and we specialize in photo and video storytelling. So what is storytelling? Well, imagine a bakery, and this bakery creates great bagels among all of its other products. Well, wouldn't it interest clients or potential clients to know that those bagels taste so amazing because it's a recipe that's been handed down from generation to generation? Now think of the potential for a video, maybe interviewing the grandmother who still helps in the kitchen, to her grandkids that are learning the craft, showing footage of them lovingly creating the bagels, and old photos to show the history. And that's what we do. And today my talk is going to be on 4 trends in video.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Thanks, Jillian. Over to you, Kyle.
Thanks, Toni. My name is Kyle Marshall. I am the owner of Media Lab YYC. I say we help people make the podcasts of their dreams. So I am all about the audio, being able to do either storytelling or great interviews through audio. In fact, interestingly enough, for the last 4 days, I've been at the Calgary International Film Festival. They had this inaugural podcast booth this year. And so I did 18 1 hour to 1 hour plus recordings over 4 days. So mentally, I'm a little bit exhausted here right now. But I can talk about podcasts, luckily, for hours, even though I only have 5 minutes here today. So I'll be talking all about how that can be used and what the future, I think, is going to hold for podcasts.
Thanks, Kyle. Good point. We're lucky to have you here because I know you're one of the leading podcasters in the city with your shows, and now your involvement with the Calgary Film Festival. That's awesome. Great. Nikki, over to you.
Hey everyone, I'm Nikki West with Descriptive, and I like to call myself a translator, though most people just call me a content writer or copywriter. So I focus on taking ideas, thoughts, and the uniqueness of a business, and then using words to build a bridge that crosses the gap between the business and their ideal client. When I ask business owners why they got into business, typically they'll say they're good at what they do, it's their passion, they want to change the world. Not once have I ever heard someone say they got into business to write about it. And in today's digital world, your clients are more likely to interact with your online presence before they ever actually talk to you, which means it's essential to have that written marketing piece, whether that's website, blog, newsletter, document downloads, emails, and just, tons of everything. And because I love that, I like to say, yes, we write that.
And that's so great. I know you've been expanding in your business and bringing on more people. So I'm really looking forward to hear what you're thinking about in terms of what some of the trends are. So thanks, everyone. And myself, Toni Guffei, my company's Ratio Marketing. We focus on the research, strategy, and planning. So I like to dig into the data and figure out how to develop those strategies, particularly with digital marketing because it's so rich with data. I'm also part of FuseBox. Along with these folks on the panel, there's a group of 10 of us who are independent marketing people that act like an agency, but the beauty is that our clients work independently with us and directly, but we work together as a team. Yeah, I've been doing marketing for about 15 years as a consultant with the Business Development Bank and marketing research company, ad agencies, but I ventured out to my own, and so I do a lot of work in Canada and the US. I also teach digital marketing at the University of Calgary, and I have a book called that's been published by Kendall Hunt, Digital Marketing Strategies, and it's available online. So today we're going to be talking about content marketing and the rapid growth. In my research, I found that the global content marketing industry is predicted to grow by $500 million in the next couple of years. And there are some big trends in content development, distribution, and measurement, including things like this sense of these brand new, well, it's not brand new, but more and more online communities being built, and how content is shared, and even user-generated content, and how to leverage that. Another trend is like live video streaming with TikTok and Reels and webinars like we're on now. It's just blown up in the last couple of years. And artificial intelligence, which is an area of interest for me. So lots of things happening. Our three panelists are going to share their expertise and give us some insights about what's going on and what's important for anybody in marketing today and for the future to know. So we're going to start with Nikki. Nikki is our copywriter, and you're going to share your screen, right?
Sure am. Let's just see. I should have tested this beforehand, but okay, there we go. And notes are helpful. There we go. So hello again, everyone. We are going to dig into some of the trends that I'm seeing on the copywriting side of marketing. So first up is style and framing. So every business is here to solve a problem for someone, and there are 4 typical ways of helping potential clients realize they have a problem. Oops, oh my goodness. And B, that you can solve it for them. So, pain point marketing is kind of thought of as a little bit old school. It can come across as a bit harsh, maybe tough love, although often humor is used to kind of soften it, like those Allstate commercials that everyone has probably seen. In fact, humor is actually used in combination with a lot of these other categories. Aspirational marketing is the style we've become probably the most used to, where they use a celebrity to kind of make you think that if you buy a product, you can be more like that person. And the downfall to this is that they can come across as unattainable or unrelatable, because really, who is that perfect? Inspirational marketing, or I like to call it like I've been there marketing, is huge right now. Transformation photos, self-trained gurus, and kind of the therapeutic acceptance culture that's really dominating social media lately. The style is great for building rapport and illustrating a path to success, but there can also be some trust issues if a potential client's vision or journey doesn't match the brand or aesthetic of the provider. Then you get kind of like the, what do they know? They're to whatever. It can also be a little bit biased, as it's often based on one person's personal journey. So it's usually more effective with a niche target market. And my biggest tip for kind of making the decision as to where you want to be is to think about the experience the client will have once they get past your social media or your marketing funnel or your website. The handoff to a phone call or an email really needs to feel seamless and not like they're talking to someone completely different. So really consider your personal delivery style. Next up, free stuff. What can you give for free dollars? It used to be that companies kind of locked down their ideas, their processes, their prices. So you had to call and talk to them first, and that just doesn't fly anymore. So giving away free information is the easiest way to boost interest, nurture potential clients. Things like ebooks, guides, templates are great options here. You might also hear them referred to as lead magnets. The big kind of thing here is that giving away that doesn't necessarily enable someone to do it, because they still need to expend the time and the energy. So providing them with that increases that trust. And if they can do it themselves, great. But oftentimes they will then reach out to have you actually do it properly in exchange for that, time versus money trade-off. So swearing and slang is a big one right now. It's one of those funny things. 10 years ago, you know, even tattoos in the workplace were super iffy, and now most employers won't blink an eye. In small business, swearing or using slang can actually help create an approachable brand and build rapport. So like, you're not going to drop F-bombs like a drunken sailor or anything, but a few strategically placed curse words or some cute Urban Dictionary terms like doggo can capture attention, add a sense of realism, encourage clients to feel a little bit more relaxed interacting with you and your brand. That said, like, don't swear at or baby talk your clients, and also know when to turn on your filter. Next up, we've got SEO. So SEO, I get asked about this all the time, and the internet is an insanely saturated place. So SEO can be quite tricky. It's really using those keywords to promote searchability, but again, very saturated. It can be really hard to stand out using commonly searched words, but less searched words or too specific of keywords don't show up really at all because no one's actually typing that into a search engine. So I usually recommend working with a specialist if you're wanting to use this as like a big part of your acquisition strategy. And then adding value, this is huge. The internet is all about entertainment. There's a reason that we spend more time online than we do with others of our own species. And it's not enough to just say what you do anymore. So there are lots of options when it comes to that. Blogs, newsletters, social media is huge. Surveys, scripted video, email campaigns, anything to engage with the audience and provide them with insight and interesting information. The longer you can keep them with you, the more trust you build, the more likely they are to buy from you or refer to you. So finding your content group is key. And that is all I have for you today.
Thank you, Nikki. That was awesome. I got a couple of really good points out of that, so thank you so much. And I agree with the F-bombing. I see even acronyms like WTF or, in some of my news stuff that I get to my, from professional hoity-toity organizations, so to speak. It really does seem to be a trend. And that thing about being seamless in digital marketing, it's that omni-channel approach. It's not just multi-channel nowadays. You need to have that type of process where if your marketing feels like this on this particular platform, it needs to come across all platforms, and the core of that is the messaging. So that's a really great point. Thanks for making that. So all right, next we have Jillian is going to talk to us about videography.
And sorry, Nikki, what is doggo? Am I like the only one that doesn't know what this is?
Doggo, it's a dog.
And it's like,
cute doggo, boop the heckin' snoot. It's crazy, the language on social media about animals.
Okay, hands up.
I'm going to look it up.
Like, did anybody else not know this? Like, okay, good. It's not just me. All right. I'm always behind in trends, so I'm not really surprised. So this is actually a really interesting practice for me to do a bit more research, dive a little deeper, because it's easy to just kind of get stuck in certain lanes. And so this was a really great practice for me. So yeah, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Hold on one sec. And we'll get this party going. All right. Okay, so again, yep, my name is Jillian, and I'm going to be talking about video trends. So the top 4 trends in video marketing. Video marketing is one of the most powerful ways to interact with modern customers. In the digital space, videos have become the most popular and preferred type of content on almost all online platforms. Video marketing in 2022 is essential for every successful brand and company, from news feeds to social media and magazines. We like to watch videos everywhere since they transfer information faster and more effectively. In 2022, brands can use the power of video marketing to drive audience engagement and increase conversions. So that brings us to the top 4. All right, so animation has had a long history of marketing practices. Just look at Mr. Clean, who first appeared on screens in 1958. Over the decades, Mr. Clean is still one of the most recognizable mascots, but he is only one of many examples of how animation can set a powerful brand image and stick to the customer's hearts. Among main video marketing trends in 2022 it's expected for there to be a growing popularity of animated explainer videos. Even today, lots of companies all over the world use animated videos to promote their products and services creatively, educate customers about how to use them, onboard new employees, and for dozens of other corporate and marketing purposes. That's why we at Studio Lumen work closely with David Royer of Dream Rocket Media, who is also a member of FuseBox, to create engaging animated explainer videos. All right, number 2, live streaming videos. No big surprise here, live streaming, especially with constant changes for in-person attendance, is on the rise. The massive power of Twitch TV that promotes live video streaming as the most engaging way to interact with the audience can't be ignored. Twitch started as game streaming, although it has grown into new content, gaining popularity among music performers, podcasters, and even yoga teachers. People love to interact with influencers in almost real time, and businesses are also starting to get on board. And number 3, 360-degree video. Various video trends come and go, and in the upcoming year, it's projected that we will see the rise of 360-degree videos. Many companies use videos as a perfect tool for presenting their products and services. However, modern technologies offer us an even more immersive way to introduce products. There are 360-degree video experiences. They create a feeling that customers can try a product before purchasing it. 360-degree videos constitute a new visual experience for consumers that can help brands earn their loyalty. 98% of consumers say 360-degree videos are more exciting compared to other formats of videos. I can't say I agree with the exciting part, but I could see how trust could be a big factor here. This is an example of a video on Hong Kong Airlines, and it's a 5-minute video of perspective of clients going around on shot with a GoPro. And number 4, our final one, this is longer storytelling. So storytelling videos is Studio Lumen's specialty. People are engaged by stories that seem true and real. Long storytelling and video marketing adds the feeling of reality and trustworthiness in videos. Today, long video ads are becoming more and more popular and widely used. Big brands like Subaru, Toyota, Adidas, and others produce advertisements that look like short movies, bringing the story of usual people to the table and showcasing how the brand can help everyone in their daily lives. This type of video advertising is less promotional and more engaging since it's typically more about customers rather than about products. It is one of the video industry trends that may help gain more trust from your audience and future customers. And that is that.
Well, that was really great. Thank you, Jillian. Yes, a couple of really good things there. And I, in my research too, says video is the most highly consumed content today, and it's growing even faster. People just want those bits of information, but they also want those longer long form storytelling ones as well. So I really like that. And the example with the 3D video experiences, have you ever seen the Airbnb commercials? Like they literally give a family a GoPro and it's just their experience. And you know, it's
yeah.
fun.
I had no idea. And I'm like, so I was like looking up and I'm like, geez, people are really doing this. I'm like, okay, yeah, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. So yeah, trends.
Very cool. All right, thank you so much. And now we'll go over to Kyle to talk about podcasts.
Yes, we will. Let me just make sure this is sharing. And so this is me being a little bit cheeky here, I will admit. My trends in podcasting, which will probably change in the next 5 minutes, as anything in new media tends to do, is you kind of get a handle of it and then it decides it wants to change everything the next day. I think to kind of talk a little bit about what I personally think the future holds it's kind of important to understand what is going on like right now. So this is kind of a breakdown. I'm just using North America, so Canada versus the US. There's a lot of text up there on screen right now. But broadly speaking, between the US and Canada, we're similar. I mean, there's 63% of Canada versus 75% that has even heard of the term podcasting. 36 to 37% of people have listened to a podcast in the last month, 23 to 24% in the last week. This is still up. Those numbers can kind of seem a little bit low. But even 4 years ago, I think we were at like the 29% of had listened in the last month, and like in the teens as far as had listened to it in the last week. So things are kind of growing and growing and growing exponentially as new things and different personalities come into the podcasting realm. To focus a little bit again on the US, because that's where I could find the actual percentages here. It's interesting where people engage with podcasts. So like 90% is done at home. And you can break that down even more so, which is like washing dishes, like cleaning up the house, cooking, that sort of thing. That's when a lot of people are doing it. But then, 64% while driving or using public transit. So doing it while we're on the move. Average people listen to 6 different shows, average of 7 different shows per week that they're listening to. The biggest thing, especially if we're talking about like marketing and getting your name out there and stuff, I find the biggest statistic is that 93% listen to the entire episode, meaning from start to finish, whether that's a 15-minute podcast or an hour and a half or even longer sometimes. 93% are listening to the whole thing, which means they're listening to the commercials, they're listening to the ad reads, they're listening to these other interjections that are happening, which is great to know if you ever decide that you want to like spend money to advertise your thing on a podcast. The other thing is, I don't know if you've experienced this, but in most podcast apps, you can actually listen to things at like 1.5, 2 times, 3 times speed. So your hour-long podcast now becomes a 30-minute podcast because it's sped up that you're listening to it. And almost 20% of people are doing that. So they're actually getting a lot of information done in a short amount of time. And you're actually seeing this come into video now too. Netflix allows you to do this, and other platforms are allowing you to do this to actually get through those things even quicker. The biggest ones too, comedy, education, news are the biggest like themes, but of course that's always changing as new things kind of come into the field. So if you are interested in utilizing podcasting, whether it's your business, your personal life, whatever it happens to be, the biggest thing that I give to people, because it is an industry that is maturing, although still kind of in its infancy in so many ways, is I go back to this gentleman that's on screen right now. His name is Jeffrey Craner. He says a bunch of different shows, but a lot in the fiction podcast. So making up a unique story that is bringing on actors and performing it. And I saw him give a talk once where he was saying, like, if your goal is to either make money, grab an audience, like really grow this thing, you have to kind of be one of 3 things, which is you either have to be the very first person to do it, you have to be the very best at doing it, or you have to be different in some way. So the way that I kind of break it down to people is that whatever your idea is, whatever you want to focus on, being the first is probably not going to happen. Possible, but probably not going to be the first person to do the thing you're about to do. Being the very best at it, again, potentially, but I especially if it's your first try, you're going to have to go through some hardships first. The big thing you can absolutely be is different. You're going to spin, coming at it from a different angle. Those are the things you can control. And people really like that, especially if 90% of people are doing this thing over here like this. You can be the one person who is coming out and being like, I'm going to do it this way and present it in this way. My kind of like additions to that is, like niche is the best thing to be. Like if you want to talk about like tech, right? I want to do tech reviews. There's so many people out there that are doing that same thing. So maybe you want to focus on like, I just do Samsung, or I just do this thing right here. I only talk about smartphones. I want to be that, like, you want to get down into it just so that you can be like super knowledgeable about that instead of trying to be too general. You do want to be excited. I mean, this is the same thing when we were at school or university. You don't want to be that professor who's droning on and people are falling asleep to. You want to be excited about that thing you're talking about. hopefully you're talking about that thing because you are excited about it in the first place. And again, yeah, you want to be different, whether that's like everyone else is doing hour-long shows in this genre. Well, I'm going to do a 15-minute show, or I'm going to go super in depth with this thing, or whatever that happens to be. So what's the future going to hold? I don't know. I don't think anyone really truly knows past like the next year what things are actually going to look like. This is my gut feelings here. And actually cemented as Jillian was presenting her stuff, and Nikki was talking about that unique voice people were giving to. Video definitely is king right now in so many ways. You go to YouTube if you want kind of that longer form stuff, or Twitch if you want to have that feeling of being with the people presenting it, like you feel like you're part of that community. You're going to TikTok if you want that short form, to the point, on to the next thing. You just want that information quickly. Podcasting is in this weird space because I think it's the greatest thing about it is that it is long form. Even if it's a 15-minute show, you can kind of get into much more information about that. And people are coming to podcasts for that. They want the context. They want to understand the why behind things. Or if you're a super big nerd like me, you go to your movie podcast and you listen for 2 hours because you really want to hear them talk and discuss about this stuff. That's what you're going there for. However, I do think that there is a market there for short form audio in many ways. There was Clubhouse that was a big thing here a few months ago. And I think it failed for a bunch of different, well, I shouldn't say failed. I don't think it's as popular right now as it once was because of a bunch of different reasons, but I think that there is that idea of live broadcasting or even short form stuff that you can kind of focus on. That I think the future is going to hold. My biggest pitch, I would say, is that I think that you're going to see companies, organizations being able to use this, because I in my head I envision, like, wouldn't it be cool if I went to like a museum or an art gallery and it's like, ooh, I'd like to know more information about this, and I could like take out my smartphone, maybe there's a QR code or something I hold up next to this painting, boom, pops up to my phone, and now I can listen to this little program that someone has made about what this thing is in front of me. Or whatever it happens to be. So that short form, here's some information behind this thing that you are standing in front of right now. Or imagine doing like a walk around the city, same idea. It's like, oh, I want to know more about this building. Tell me more about this building. I also think the same type of thing could happen as VR becomes, I think, more important. Imagine me, Toni, Nikki, Jillian coming into that same space, listening to a program, and that we can interact together as friends and stuff like that. I think there's going to be something probably to that. But building a community so that they do the work for you is still going to be important going forward. They do so much work for you if you're able to grab that audience. Advertising your thing, like your product, your company on a podcast, is still the biggest bang for your buck. People are listening to it and people are engaging with that. If you want to try your hand at fiction podcasts, they're kind of on the steady rise as people come to it. Like Marvel is now getting into that space of creating unique podcasts that are fictionalized with actors and all that kind of stuff in it as well. And my cheeky last response is that companies are still going to try to monetize podcasts and fail at it. So there's been 3 companies that have tried to do it, and none of them have actually been able to be successful. But that is my very quick overview, and hopefully that sheds some light on what the future holds for podcasts.
That's super interesting. I mean, a couple of key things I took away there. Like, you really definitely have to stand out, like pick your niche or be different some way than just, this is my personal opinion. Right. Yeah, you touched on VR. So you're starting to get into one of my questions, which I'm going to delve into. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the post. But I do have a handful of questions, burning questions. So artificial intelligence having a big impact, particularly in analytics, which is an area that I work in. Machine learning it not only predicts trends, it is now starting to create more personalized content and getting into what's called precision marketing. Plus, artificial intelligence is used to more accurately understand how each customer touch point along that funnel, the customer journey, and then how that can contribute to a conversion. So it really can tell us a lot from the data analytics, and with Apple going to their new opting out of third-party cookies, and Google scrambling, trying to figure out, like, what do we do now? One of the biggest trends there is that Google's going to more cohort analysis. But and looking at Google Analytics 4, like it's basing that cohort on random things like times of day. Like it's not going to give us the accuracy. So they're still trying to figure that out. Another trend is partnerships. Just today I was reading that Shopify and Yahoo are going to get into a deal where they share data with each other to help to create content for their users on their platform. So my question to you, maybe I'll go back, or anybody, either of you, like, is there anything in your industry where you see artificial intelligence or new technologies, like how you mentioned virtual realities, anything there starting to come across as a trend?
Yeah, this is the hardest one, right? As far as like trying to predict the future, like what technologies are going to like cause this huge ripple throughout industries. I mean, everyone has been predicting like the rise of VR, I find, for like the last 5 or 6 years. It's been very slow to get off the ground, but I think as more people do kind of experience it and more content is made for it, I do see that as being something that is going to definitely change over time on how people are engaging with things. As far as audio specifically goes, the biggest thing that I'm wondering if it is going to kind of like make a difference is this whole push for I'm totally blanking on the term, not surround sound, but spatial audio. Spatial audio is like this new big like buzzword, buzz term type of thing about like it really feeling like you are surrounded by audio with more like advanced headsets and stuff coming in. I don't know if that's going to, I just think it's going to change how like editing happens, that sort of thing. As far as with AI goes, for me, it's going to be that like recommendation piece. This has been the thing that has helped / hindered a lot of people's growth on YouTube, which is like, well, how does the YouTube algorithm actually work? And it changes every 6 months. So that's why no one ever really knows. The same thing is happening with podcasts. Like, how do I game mainly the Apple system? Because it's still where like 80% of people get their podcasts from is from that store. So like, how do I game the system so I'm getting to their recommendations so more people follow me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You start to play that game rather than just focusing on content. So I see that as being the biggest thing as more players come into the space.
That kind of brings to mind something that Nikki touched on about that aspirational framing, like, and influencers, how across the board, I mean, and someone's put this in the chat, and I'll lead into, I'll get to their questions, but influencers are using all these different types of content to in their individual platforms in order to gain a following and eventually make money off of it, actually. First, anybody, Jillian or Nikki, any other new technologies or new advancements that you want to touch on?
Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing a lot about AI in copywriting lately. There are apps and programs just coming out of the woodwork for that. And I get a lot of questions about how good they are. And really, I guess that kind of depends on what you're expecting. Some of them I'm sure are better than others. But I mean, one of the things that is always going to be a challenge for a machine to do is really dig into, kind of the essence and feeling of a person. So they could probably get all of the words in the right spots, but really digging into what someone really means or how they really connect is something that still humans are just a little bit better at. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens with that in the near future.
Well, it's definitely one of the things in search engine optimization is that more natural language. But yes, it's interesting to hear you say that they might be able to phrase it, but it's probably missing the emotion. And that's what we do in marketing is we try to emotionally connect with our audience. So I can see that still being a bit out there. Yeah. Jillian, did you have anything that you wanted to add or can?
Yeah, no, me and AI.
Not
there yet.
But this one's a good question for you. Like, how effective are vlogs at building and maintaining an audience?
Absolutely. Yeah, actually, in my initial presentation, I had 5 trends, but then I knew I was going to be going over the time. But number 5 was on vloggers. So I actually have something kind of prepared for this, which is great. So yeah, so companies create their channels on YouTube where they share their daily routine, the team member stories, secret recipes, behind the scenes situations, and updates about their new products or services. And that's really big for vlogging about for companies, but even as personal things, just giving tips. It was listed as the number 5 on the list of most popular things and trends. So I think there's definitely an audience for it. It used to be more of a personal thing. We're vlogging, like if you have like travelers and everything else, but businesses are really picking up on this, and they're using their team members to really push those different ideas and concepts. So I think there's definitely a big opportunity there.
Yes, and he's got the President Britain by has an add-on specifically video vlogs versus regular blogs, and if I can maybe add as a strategic approach to that, like the video vlogs, because video is becoming such a highly consumed way to reach your audience, definitely that's a good approach. But blogs, the written part, can really contribute to your search engine optimization, and both of them can be long form and then taken out short forms from them, so they can be used in the same kind of way. But as a strategy, it would really depend on what your goals are and what you're hoping to achieve. Or is it more branding? Is it more trying to push your SEO? Is it more trying to capture more leads? What are you hoping to achieve? And then assessing which channel or which type of content is best for your business. Anybody else have anything else to add to that? Nikki, I think this one's for you. Dana missed the comment on providing free gifts or giveaways. What is the feeling about providing stages of free content? I think that was one for you.
Yeah, I mean, free is, everybody's all about free. Everybody, people are looking to get as much information as possible before they make a buying decision. And free content allows them a very low barrier entry way to interact with you and your brand and see how you work. And so, staging in, a free and then a lower cost and then, a middle cost or a higher cost as you work into the ultimate offering is a really great way to keep people engaged in consuming with you until they're ready for the thing that you ultimately want them to buy. So absolutely building that marketing funnel in stages is super smart.
Yeah, and you called it lead magnets. I call it gated content. Sorry, it slipped my mind because I was thinking about the landing pages. How, the top of the funnel is we want to create awareness, and then as we move them down the purchasing funnel, that journey, it's to consideration, decision, until they convert in some way. And along that journey, we want them to sign up. We want them to download. We want them to participate or something, or follow. So there always needs to be those calls to action to guide them to that process. And what I hear you talking about is a very specific technique about how someone will sign up for a free webinar, and then you send them, you get their contact information, then you send them, well, if you liked our free webinar, you might like our $99 product. And if you like that $99 product, you might like our $500 product. And it just kind of continually helps them to continue to convert. So it's a really great strategy. We have some other questions here. What are some of the basics of content marketing that everybody is poor at? Well, hey, that I want to touch on that. It might be one of the things is gamification. Like you touched on it, Kyle. Like how, and also Jillian, animation. Like how, because of gamers and this younger demographic is so prone and used to seeing animated videos and interactions, that whole gamification of marketing has become also a trend. It kind of goes up and down. No one really, I don't even know if they still call it that, but maybe Kyle, do you have any input on that?
When I saw this comment in the chat, the first thing that popped into my mind is consistency. And I am the first person to admit that I am the worst at this as well. talking about being at the Calgary Film Festival for 4 days. I didn't post a single thing on any of my social media that I was there. You know what I mean? Like, it's such like easy content to like snap a photo, take a video, do this thing. I was
did
so
see
busy
you.
and yeah.
You did one around the table. I saw it on Instagram.
Oh,
Oh no,
okay.
it's a reel. I saw a reel, I think.
I posted one thing while I was there for 4 days. But it's one of those things that I think that the people that have unlocked what was successful about online and creating a brand and creating a following is that they upkeep and show people what's going on. They don't have to worry about it being necessarily the best photo or the best video. They're just kind of allowing people into that world. And kind of keep doing it, kind of tying that into video blogs and regular blogs and stuff. I think one of the great success stories here from Writing Calgary was the camera store. The camera store had 2 employees who were working there as salespeople who said, we should make a video blog about what we do here at the camera store, and then amass 400,000 followers, right? And then they were poached by a larger company to come and work for them to do tech reviews. So and all they had to do is like show what they were doing, and like they had that personality, and they allowed people into their world and showed them the behind the scenes stuff. So it's that type of thing that people really enjoy nowadays. It's not just like, here is the information. It's like, here is me presenting the information. It is part like information and me as a personality put together. Now, if you're not the best person to do that, then find someone who is. But it's those 2 things: the personality and the information at the same time.
And well, that's an overarching theme here today, is that storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a story about that too, is that Cleaver, that little restaurant, it's not a very big restaurant, that's on 17th Avenue, does absolutely no advertising. In one of my classes, a student worked there, and I said, how does that place stay packed? Like, I live in the Beltline, I walk by there all the time, it's always packed. And she said, they just tell really funny stories on Instagram, and they created a huge following, and they're known in the industry, right? But definitely content and storytelling and authenticity is really important, more than perfection, I think, when it comes to content. But I like what you say. One of the weaknesses a lot of people have, consistency. Doing it on a regular basis through multiple channels over a long period of time. Anybody, Nikki or Jillian, did you want to add anything with that?
I think Kyle did a great job explaining that one.
Ed Britton's asking, I work with older clients who often lack social connection. How can socially interactive groups be integrated into marketing to support conversion? It kind of sounds like a strategy question. Anybody want to take this? I could probably answer that. Okay, that's me. Right, so this is a conundrum, right? Because we also have people who are living in rural areas that don't have a lot of access. It's the same thing. So where we are in the world today is it's probably half traditional marketing and half digital marketing. Companies need to be on that digital marketing bandwagon, but if your market is encumbered by their ability to interact on the internet, you may want to look at other ways to try and reach them. Having said that, I think pretty much everybody has email. If anything, I think email would be a great way to continue to reach out to your target audience, as long as you can capture that content, their contact information. I don't know, you do a lot of email campaigns, Nikki. Like, what do you think of that as a tactic?
I mean, yeah, and one of the other things that I have seen a lot of are a little bit more, less the Facebook page communities and more into these outside apps that allow only your specific community to interact and engage. So I've seen a lot of companies kind of going towards these more private networks as a way to build, their community and their specific conversations without kind of getting lost in the crowd. And that's something that, if you're talking about older clients who maybe they do have email, but maybe they're not super into social media, there are these other types of communities that can be used to facilitate more specific conversations.
And I mean, content is not just digital. there's still old school newsletters, right? There's still ways to get to your audience. And someone's asking, Lee's asking a good question, like, isn't marketing all about storytelling? Yes, it's all about that emotional connection. And how do we where is it here? How do we define marketing? And marketing is promoting, it's like promoting your personality in order to help people understand why they would want to engage, interact, or even purchase from your brand. So marketing is like, it's the personality of your business. I don't know, Jillian, you through storytelling, like, do you have something to add to that? Like, how would you define marketing and the difference between community and marketing?
Yeah, sorry, I can hear my chickens going crazy. So
Jillian lives in the country. She's got chickens in her yard.
So my husband's just dealing with it. So I was a little distracted.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, storytelling is definitely really important. And when you're thinking about marketing, I mean, this is definitely, Toni, more your strong point in thinking about the marketing side of it. But yeah, no, storytelling is so huge and in a way to just connect with your audience. And people are looking for truth and to be able to connect with people. So it's and diving a little bit deeper, I think, is really interesting. So not even going to the owners of the company, but maybe some of the people that work in the company, it is a really great way to just show what it's actually like to be there or who these people are. So it's not just a name. You actually get to know who's behind the name or the brand.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that answered your question. Sorry. As I say,
No,
my chicken's going crazy.
And Neville's kind of answered his definition is get people aware, get them to appreciate what you have to value, build trust, and then I would add, get them to convert.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki,
the other thing too, Toni, just sorry to break in here, and something we've been kind of talked around, but I think is important to nail down is like knowing who your target market is, because I think if we're talking about online specifically, or even like in-person marketing, different places are going to do better. And this is a very broad brush. I don't mean this, I understand that there's going to be exceptions to this rule, but like by and large, like if you are targeting people that are 45 plus, you're probably going Facebook. If you're doing like between that 30 and 44, YouTube, Instagram, maybe Twitter, and then people younger than that, you're going to TikTok. Like you have to understand that those three, like all those different places are going to be used differently and are going to attract a different clientele. And that you don't necessarily have to focus on all of them. If you're only focusing on one of those places, then just focus on that one place.
that's a very good point. Go where your market is. At the core of any marketing strategy, whether it's digital, traditional, you're doing a promotions plan, a product launch, whatever it is, a podcast, you need to know who the market is. You can't sell or provide anything to people who don't want it. Nikki, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was just going to add that, one of the things that is very easy to fall into marketing your own business is getting a little bit too into the details, and the market that you fall into isn't necessarily your target market. And so one of the things that can often happen is, you speak the way that you speak and you have a certain way that you like to communicate yourself. And marketing, what it really is kind of providing a way to translate and bring what you do and how you offer that to your target market that might be slightly different. So, it could be just slightly different words. It could be the delivery channel. It could be there's so many aspects to it. And marketing really is trying to preserve the essence of that, but also make it really resonant and understandable by the people who actually will want to buy it. So that's kind of the key component in creating good marketing, is that yes, it needs to say what you do and who you are, but if it doesn't sound good or look good or interest your target market, then that's not effective marketing. So it really does need to be kind of tuned to the the audience.
Yes. Did you have your hand up? Oh, Kyle's waving at other people. And that kind of is like, it's the brand, right? It's your personality, it's your tone, it's your voice, it's the language you use, all of those things, the colors, the user experience, all those things are represented through whatever type of content that you deliver, whether it's videos, podcasts, or written content, anything. The brand should be consistent throughout all of those things. So we just have like 5 minutes left before I hand it over to Marlene to wrap us up. Maybe we'll just go around the panelists. 1 or 2 key takeaways that you want your audience to remember as they go about the type of content that you produce. Jillian.
I do actually have one other comment just on the TikTok thing, because I had, the questions you kind of sent, I had written some things. And there's one interesting thing that we came across with TikTok, specifically with businesses. It's really hard for businesses to get going with that. I was just being told that The Gap has like 2,000 followers on TikTok. So those conversions for businesses on TikTok are not happening yet. And I'm not sure, Toni, you may know a bit more about this, but I thought that was interesting. That it's still more that personal field, not as much for businesses. So anyway, I thought that was an important note to just kind of make. But yeah, no, so for me, I just would hope, your takeaway would be that I have noisy chickens, and hopefully nobody heard them. But yeah, no, with trends in video is actually really, really popular. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And I think companies that are not developing something are going to fall behind a little bit. But there's easy ways to do things. And I mean, even like when we're in complete lockdown and I was like, oh gosh, I'm going crazy, I just need to have a camera in my hand, I started doing tips. And John, I know you do things like this too, where you're just kind of, you might buy a pretty decent camera, have a pretty decent sound system. And I'm even happy to go and help set people up with this. But just getting those contacts with your clients is a really great way to connect. And yeah, I think it's a good starting point.
And yeah, TikTok was never invented. It was just supposed to be a fun little thing. And it launched in 2018, and now 1 billion people using it monthly, I think it was. But they do have a global conference coming up for businesses. So if anybody's interested in that, I have the link to it. I don't know if it's happening this week, but it's pretty soon. So they're inviting businesses to come and check that out so they can talk and brainstorm. How do we monetize this? So great points. Kyle, any few words of parting that you'd like to contribute?
I mean, the biggest thing that I kind of said there before, how the greatest thing about podcasting is it allows context and allows longer form stuff. With TikTok, even sometimes with YouTube and other places online, it's all short, quick, fast. Not that you want to drone on or anything like that, but what the great thing is about podcasting is it is like the one less place is like, it is expected when I'm coming there that I'm going to be leaning in and I want to grab more information with that thing, with whomever is presenting, and allowing that personality to shine through. So again, excitement. I love this. Let's talk about this. Even if everyone else thinks it's the most boring topic in the world, I get to be excited about it. And that kind of bleeds out to the people coming in with that information.
And that contributes to the brand, right? Especially with podcasts, you are the brand. So that's an important point. Thank you. And Nikki.
All right. Well, actually, my kind of like closing remarks kind of bring a lot of this together. So, I think most other forms of marketing do involve an element of writing. So, you write a script for a video, or you might, come up with a bunch of questions and write them down for a podcast. And then, of course, websites and all of that. But I think that the future is really hybrid. So, with everything having gone so digital, it's kind of natural to see a swing back towards an appetite for like more tangible aspects, which I think is where things like TikTok are becoming so popular. You've got music, you've got movement, you've got words on there, you've got, dances that people can learn and physically do. So there's actually, it touches all of the sensory things versus just that two-dimensional internet. So I think that really the future is hybrid in a lot of those ways. So the more that you can kind of cross those boundaries, the more effective your marketing is going to be, because it's going to just really stimulate all the senses. So that's kind of my big takeaway for the future of marketing.
Sounds like we can do a whole session just on TikTok. And so just on that, the two top influencers on TikTok are both dancers, like professional dancers, young professional dancers.
And that could even be just like video blog, also a video with a blog, captions on the video blog, all of those things, right?
Yep. So with that, thank you. With that, we'll pass it back to Marlene. Thanks everybody for being with us today. This has been awesome.